What's going on, dudes? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and look, I know it's kind of early. I know that maybe it's a little too early to talk about it. I know that Square Enix next big game is gonna be Kingdom Hearts 4. I know, I get it, but I've been thinking because after I was done playing Final Fantasy 16, I said, well, what's next? Like, what's gonna happen next? Okay, what's in the books, right? I said what's in the books, and next in line, of course, after Final Fantasy 16, the next one is Final Fantasy 17, right? So we're getting to the 17 up there. But is Square Enix even planning for 17? I mean, I'm sure they are, but when I say planning, I'm talking about how are they going to survive? Because right now they're on survival mode, you could say. Because, you know what? Let me show you here on the screen. According to the GamesIndustry.biz website, it says Square Enix says sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16 did not meet expectations. Sales of Foam Stars were similarly not as strong as expected. And Foam Stars is kind of like this, kind of like a Fortnite shooting type of game that they made, you could say. I haven't played it, but yeah, so Final Fantasy 16, we know it sold 3 million copies. The PC version is out, and I'm wondering how many sales it has already, because with the PlayStation 5 release and the PC, it's gotta be more than 3 million copies sold. Unless, like God of War, PlayStation is forcing people to log into the PSN network before they can play the game. If that's the case, it's not gonna sell a lot of copies. I'm just saying. So, yeah. And then we got the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth case, which is kind of sad. It only sold 2 million copies in the PlayStation 5. It is exclusive to the PlayStation 5, so it's no wonder it didn't sell a lot. You know, the PlayStation 5, it really doesn't have a lot of users like the PlayStation 4. Fun fact, a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people are still holding on to their PlayStation 4 and playing those old games because a lot of the PlayStation 4 games are just being remastered over to the PS5. So it's like, what the heck is the point? Better graphics? You're gonna spend $700 on better graphics? Come on, man. Nobody cares about, better and better and better graphics anymore. We don't have to exceed graphics. I think we're fine where we are. So, yeah, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it didn't do very well. So what's going to happen to the story of Final Fantasy 17? Because you have two flops. Well, excuse me, I don't want to say flops. These games were not flops. It's just that the reach, it just didn't have the reach. And if they would have released it to the PlayStation, to the PC first, Steam and Epic Games, it would have done so much better. It would have gotten higher numbers, right? But it didn't. Okay, it didn't. So, as the article says, didn't meet expectations. Now, Square Enix, they're really gonna have to dig down. They're really gonna have to, dig into that shit, and really think about the story of Final Fantasy 17, the gameplay of Final Fantasy 17. Personally, I say go with the Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Rebirth, right? The Final Fantasy 7 Remake gameplay. I mean, that's the absolute best. And of course, you're gonna have to add, some different things to it. You're gonna add a couple of different things to it to make it different, of course. But thus far, the best battle system in RPG out there that I've seen is Final Fantasy VII Remake, because you're able to switch between characters, and then you got a whole bunch of battle options, summons, moves, magic, everything you can think of is there in a classic RPG game. So for 17, they gotta go with the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle style. It's the best. So Square Enix try to mimic that, right? It's the freaking best. What else? Yeah, and as far as the story, I mean, it's Square Enix. I'm sure they can think of a great story, because if you look at Final Fantasy 16, the story is absolutely amazing, but it's just the reason why people kind of forgot about it, right? Final Fantasy 16 is kind of forgettable in a way, not because it's a bad game, but because it's I think it just didn't have the same community as Final Fantasy 7 did, as the original did, as Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts. It didn't have the same community behind it, because at the time of its release, a lot of people just didn't want to buy a PlayStation 5. They don't want to buy a PlayStation 5. On top of that, I've actually spoken to many Final Fantasy fans, and one of the things that they didn't like about the Final Fantasy 16 is the realistic graphics. They don't like the idea of having super duper realistic graphics for a Final Fantasy game, because traditionally, the games weren't like that. They just weren't like that. But that's kind of a very strange criticism, because Final Fantasy 7 Remake had realistic graphics. Nobody said anything. But 16, I don't know. Maybe they were expecting something else. But honestly, as long as, you could have PlayStation 4 graphics, it doesn't matter. Nowadays, graphics, nobody cares anymore about graphics very much, because, we see it so much. It doesn't matter if it's 4K, 8K, a million K. Graphics don't make the game more enjoyable. Yeah, it's nice. It's good to look at, pretty things in the game. The way the world is designed, I get it. But people want gameplay. People want story. That's the main thing, especially with RPG games. The RPG games have to focus on these two things, and then of course the design, the character design, the design of the world, those things as well. But going forward, Square Enix, this is what they gotta keep in mind, because 16 and 7 Remake and Rebirth, these were great games. It's just, but I do think that Final Fantasy 17 will do a little better than previous titles, because it's gonna be all platform. If Square Enix, as they have been saying, if they really decide to go, multi-platform on the release date, the game is going to do very, very well. It's going to do really, really good. It can reach Power World numbers. It can reach freaking Hogwarts Legacy numbers. It can reach Black Myth Wukong, 10 million, 20 million copies sold. It can reach those numbers, So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that Square Enix has broken away from Sony, because that's really what's been holding it back. That's really, 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 really what that's been holding them back. And if you think about it, Square Enix has been releasing their old Final Fantasy titles on the Nintendo Switch for the simple fact that there's so many users, 160 million Final Fantasy users on the Nintendo Switch. Right, on the Nintendo Switch. They had to put some of the titles there because of the reach, because of the user base. So, yeah, man. And that's what I'm gonna say. We don't have any type of idea what Final Fantasy 17 is going to be about, or the gameplay, but we kind of have an idea of what to expect. Multi-platform is one of those things, and the battle system, looking at 16 and 7 Remake, we kind of know where that's headed as well. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy Andy Matrix. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications, like this video, and comment below. Tell me what you think about 17, Square Enix. I'll see you guys next time. Godspeed, baby.